With more than 35 movies and countless TV shows over the last 17 years, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has got very complicated. This year we've had Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts, both of which were fine movies, but if you hadn't been keeping up with all the characters' previous appearances, they wouldn't have made much sense. Luckily, Fantastic Four First Steps is set in a brand new universe. There's no prior knowledge required, so it feels like a much needed fresh start. The movie is set on Earth 828, where it appears to be the 1960s, with everybody wearing hats and suits, but with a retro-future aesthetic, so there's flying cars and talking robots, which really gives it a unique look and feel, and sets it apart from other superhero movies. Like in Superman, the title characters have already been around for a couple of years, but here we do get a montage explaining their origins and showing off some of their super fights, which is more than we ever got in Superman. I guess there's already been a few different versions of the Fantastic Four in the movies, so most viewers will have a general idea who they are already, and their powers are pretty self-explanatory for the newcomers. Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, is the leader of the group. He's got the cool stretching powers, which are used throughout. More importantly, he's also incredibly intelligent, to the point of seeming cold and arrogant at times, but his love for his family and friends always manages to pull him back. So he's not some flawless hero, he's much more human, which makes him a lot more interesting. Vanessa Kirby plays his wife Sue. As the movie starts, we learn that she is pregnant, but it never stops her from throwing herself into life-threatening situations, although maybe it should. Her desire to protect her baby gives her a drive, which makes her a lot more active, whereas previous versions of the characters are being quite passive. And we see her using her invisibility powers and force fields in various different ways throughout the movie. In fact, there's a sequence towards the end where she seems to be more powerful than the rest of the team put together. Ebon Moss-Bachrach plays Ben Grimm, the Thing, and the visuals of his rocky orange form work really well. As a character, he seems to have got past the moping around, depressed that he's a monster phase, which a lot of versions of the character seem to be stuck in. So he's pretty chilled out. He has a bit of a subplot where he starts a romance with Natasha Lyonne, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and she's not even playing his love interest from the comics, so you can't help wondering if they maybe cut the end of that storyline for some reason. Joseph Quinn is Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. He doesn't have the same hot-headed, womanizing personality of his comics counterpart. He's a lot more grown up, and he seems to have his own scientific expertise as well. Of the main four, he's probably the most different to how he is in the comics, and not nearly as much fun. But there are still plenty of scenes where Ben and Johnny have their trademark banter, and the humour in the movie never undercuts the more serious moments, as it does in so many of the recent MCU movies. The story adapts the classic comic storyline, the coming of Galactus, so we finally get to see one of the classic comic villains on the big screen at last. And he's not a cloud like last time, but the real thing, absolutely huge, and he seems completely unstoppable. Ralph Ineson is absolutely chilling. He's certainly come a long way since playing Finchy in The Office. It does help that the movie is set on a different Earth. If this was the main MCU, you'd think, well, obviously they'll end up stopping him. But it's perfectly possible that Galactus could destroy this Earth, leaving the Fantastic Four to escape to the main universe. Julia Garner plays Shalla-Bal, the Silver Surfer of this universe. There was a lot of controversy over having a female Silver Surfer, but it's clearly not the main Marvel universe. There's nothing stopping them from introducing the male Silver Surfer in the main MCU, so it doesn't bother me at all. She starts out seeming like a villain, but she manages to redeem herself in the end. It's a brief character arc, but it's quite effective. And she does have a good connection with Johnny, although it never quite turns into a romance. While Superman had dozens of characters, this movie is much more focused and doesn't try and fill up the screen with as many supporting characters from the comics as it can find. There is Herbie the Robot, who is a nice fun addition. I guess all the kids will be wanting one of those for Christmas. So do I, to be honest. Doctor Doom is largely absent, except for a brief tease at the end. But we do get some fun scenes with the classic comics villain, the Mole Man, implying he has a larger history with the Fantastic Four that we just haven't seen. I would have liked more references like this, but I can see that keeping it simple will probably attract a bigger audience. Compared to most movies nowadays, it's quite short, but it does its job, introducing these four main characters before they meet up with the Avengers in the next movie. And they're all well cast, so I look forward to seeing how they interact with the established characters of the MCU. The mid-credit scene does give a hint, as does the one in Thunderbolts, so no doubt the next year will be full of people speculating as to what could happen next. Thanks for watching. I don't know when I'll next get to the cinema, but when I do, I'm sure I'll review it on here. Meanwhile, you can check out my review of Superman from the other week, and I'll see you next time.